Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to another episode of The Spread. I'm your host, Jim Sella, in studio with J Dash and Big Easy. We got our extra bases segment for you. We're going to talk about the Chicago Cubs. I was on record all season as saying the Cubs would hit a wall towards this point in the season and start to fade, but the opposite has happened, and it proves my vast baseball knowledge is... So Dash is here to tell us why the Cubs aren't fading and why they prove a real threat to the Pirates for that wild card spot.
Yeah, the Cards obviously lead the NL Central right now at 76-43. The Bucks are behind them at 70-47. But then you have the Cubs sitting at 67-50. 8 games behind the Cards still, but they're only 3 games behind the Pittsburgh right now, and they currently own the second wild card spot as well.
Wild card's getting heated up with the Cubs, Buccos, and the Giants.
Yeah, the Giants are sitting 3 games behind the Cubs at this point. But if you look, the Cubs are second in the NL Central in runs per game behind only the Pittsburgh Pirates, and then they're 5th in the NL in runs allowed. So they're a pretty consistent team between offense and pitching. But right now they're on a tear, 15-3 in their last 18 games. And that includes a 4-game sweep of San Francisco from August 6th to August 9th. So you could see how close this race was, especially if they didn't sweep them there. But like I said, the Cubs are on a tear. They're averaging 5.27 runs per game during this 18-game streak where they won 15. And like you said, a lot of people were saying they were going to fall off, mostly because they're young. But if you look, they're young players. One of them is Anthony Rizzo still. He's still a young player, but he's an MVP candidate this year, just like he was last year somewhat. This year he's hitting .295 with a .405 on base. He has 23 home runs, 30 doubles, 2 triples, already 70 RBIs and 66 runs. And like I said, he's one of the few first basemen in all of baseball that can steal bases as well, along with Paul Goldschmidt. And Rizzo has 15 stolen bases this year as well. And he is one of the few power bats you can find that does not K very much. Just 68 Ks and 421 at bats compared to 58 walks. So this guy is a deserving MVP candidate. And right now, while they're on their tear, look, in August, he's hitting .346 with a .444 on base and 4 jacks with 13 RBIs. So he's a big reason why they're winning right now and why they stayed in this race.
Well, Easy was hitting .331 with 11 RBIs the last time I looked at his baseball stats. So we need to get him out there for the Buccos.
His 2009 numbers.
Rizzo's garbage.
Rizzo,
I just said that to stay up with the spread info, but yeah, whatever. The Cubs, they're lucky. They're getting a little bit lucky.
Joe Madden, I think, is a big reason why they're playing as well as they are, because he took Tampa Bay when they were young and showed them how to win. So Madden, he's been there before. He knows how to do it. Not saying he's going to turn them into a World Series champion this year, but these guys believe in themselves. And I've heard the saying before: they don't know what they don't know yet. You know what I mean? Like, they don't really even understand the type of pressure that they're really in because they're so young. And they know it. They know they're in a pennant race and all that stuff. But when you get older and the spotlight's on you more and more and more, you start to feel more pressure. So these are just young kids going out there having fun, playing really good baseball.
Well, I think Anthony Rizzo knows by now what it means to at least play important baseball. Not that the Cubs have been good anytime soon, but I feel like he's a veteran even though he's still very young. But then you're right about some of these guys. You got Chris Bryant, Kyle Schwarber, Jorge Soler. But I mean, along with Rizzo, he's a franchise piece. Bryant is definitely a franchise piece, and a lot of people were saying he was going to be a Rookie of the Year candidate at the beginning of the year. And, I mean, he's proven it. He's hitting .252 with a .360 on base, has 16 jacks, 19 doubles. The one thing this guy does is he Ks a little bit too much, 174 Ks and 393 at-bats. But he also takes walks already, 66 walks. This is a guy that is going to be a part of this team for a long time, and he's already showing positive results. And, I mean, like I said, 393 at-bats, so he's got a pretty big taste of MLB already, and he's not really fading. Look, in August, he's hitting .294 with a .419 on base. So these two guys right here are the biggest franchise pieces they got. And then they called up Kyle Schwarber when Miguel Montero got hurt to play a little bit of catcher. And although he's not as good as you want defensively, his bat plays real well in the bigs. Like I was saying, he was the best bat in the draft the year he got drafted. Now, Montero came back since then, and they moved him to the outfield. but he's shown it too. He has a 310 average with a 400 on base and 9 jacks and 116 at-bats already. This guy might actually be the best hitter out of all these guys. And then another guy they said was going to be a Rookie of the Year candidate this year is Jorge Soler. He was actually considered the favorite going into the season. Now, he missed all of June and the first 5 games of July, but since he's came back, he's hit pretty well. And here in August, he's hitting 300 with a 386 on base and has a jack, and he's looking like he's turning it around. But a lot of people are saying this team's young because you look at these guys, Bryant Schwarber, Soler, Rizzo somewhat. They also have Addison Russell at shortstop, and it shows Joe Maddon's not afraid to make those bold moves. Now, they had Starlin Castro there, and he just wasn't performing. I said coming into the year, do you remember me saying Starlin Castro just hasn't lived up to his potential as of yet? And I was saying Jordy Mercer is nearly as valuable as he is. Well, Castro lost his job to a rookie, Addison Russell, who was a big-time prospect. Now, he's playing a little bit better than Castro, so you see Maddon's not afraid to make the bold moves. But to say this team is completely young, I mean, yeah, you see a lot of young pieces, but they also put them in there with some solid veterans. Like I mentioned, Miguel Montero before, he's one of the better catchers in baseball. He's a veteran, so they brought one of the most important defensive positions in, bring in a veteran that can handle this pitching staff, which has really helped. And he's put up double-digit home runs already as well, so that was a big move bringing in Montero. And then you've got Dexter Fowler and Coughlin out there as well. So there's some veterans out there as well. And I mean, when you look at the pitching staff, there's nothing too young about this. I mean, you got John Lester, obviously, who they signed to a big deal. Now, he has a 3.21 ERA. The best pitcher on that staff that I believe is Jake Arrieta. He has a 2.39 ERA and an 0.99 whip, has 163 Ks compared to 44 walks and 162 innings pitched. Now, a lot of people are saying if the Cubs make the wild card, they're going to pitch Lester, especially if they play the Pirates, because the Pirates have struggled earlier in the season against lefties. But really, Jake Arrieta is their best pitcher. So I want to know from Cubs fans, who are you going to pitch if you do make that wild card game? Is it going to be Lester just because he's a lefty, or is it going to be Arrieta because he's your best pitcher?
Has Arrieta ever pitched in the playoffs or in a big game? Because we already know Lester's been there.
I don't know if he did or not, because he was not in the Cubs system his entire career. He came over from Baltimore, I believe it was. I don't know if he actually pitched in a playoff game or not. But really, man, I mean, I don't think these two pitchers compare to each other. I think Arrieta is a true ace, while Lester is just a number one pitcher on a staff. You know what I mean?
A fading ace.
Let me ask Chicago fans another question. How does it feel to not have won a World Series since what, in 1908?
Burn.
It's been,
now, what are you trying to tell me here?
It's been 106 years.
So what are you trying to tell me here? Chicago's going to beat Pittsburgh in the wild card game. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I'm not saying that. No, I'm saying they're not going to fade out like everyone thought they were at the beginning of the season. They thought they were going to be
everyone, like him.
No, he's not the only person that thought that, obviously. A lot of people didn't even give them a chance this year, to tell you the truth. We actually gave them a little bit of shot at the beginning of the year.
Oh, we knew.
I told you last year they were going to be beast.
Yeah, because it's the same thing we did.
Yeah, exactly.
Bringing young talent, but they have a little bit. They're spending much more money than we are. Correct.
Yes, correct. I mean, just look at the staff. You got John Lester and Jake Arrieta.
That's more than our whole team.
I mean, our guys.
Probably a third.
Well, I mean, they signed Francisco Liriano to the biggest contract in Pirates history.
Yeah, it was
per
fine.
Season.
Let's see him step up here.
But I mean, Garrett Cole came through the
system.
system.
In spread history, that doesn't mean it's a big contract.
That's it.
Well, I mean, what, $13 million a season? It'd be nice.
Well, you know what? I'm sad to say it, but I like to see the Cubs competing because
I like it too.
You know, they're a storied franchise, and I enjoy it, but I just don't want to see it. I mean, if the Cardinals are in last, if the Cardinals and if everyone sucks and it was us and the Cubs, yeah, okay, but not this year with the
Bad
Cardinals.
Timing for Buckeyes fans.
With the Cardinals blowing it out and us just maintaining. This is not the year for the Cubs to come up. I don't want it. I don't want it to happen.
Well, look, man. If you're comparing them to the Pittsburgh Pirates, who they would probably face in the wild card game if it turned out like that.
Today, if it ended.
You got Lester and Arrieta. That compares to Garrett Cole and Francisco Liriano. And then right now it would be Happ, Locke, and Morton. I mean, they have Jason Hamill, who pitched very well for them last season. Then they traded him to the A's. He pitched bad, but then they brought him back for this season. He's pitching well, 3.38 ERA. Cal Hendricks is a guy I liked coming into the season. Now, he's not quite as good as I hoped he would be, but he still has a 3.97 ERA. And then they went out and got Dan Herron, who has a 3.63 ERA this season, although with the Cubs, he hasn't performed very well. He hasn't went more than 5 1/3 in any of his 3 starts, and he let up 6 home runs in that span. And if you look, he let up 27 home runs this season in 144 innings. That's his problem this season, but he's still pitching somewhat well. So this pitching staff is deeper than the Pirates right now as well.
Who's having a better year, Montero or Cervelli?
Cervelli, definitely.
Okay, so they have a better first baseman, Rizzo.
Better first baseman.
Second
base, no, the Pittsburgh Pirates have the better second baseman.
Short.
Well, Addison Russell one day should be one of the best shortstops in baseball, but right now, I mean, if you consider Jung Ho Gung your shortstop, I would say it would be him. And then third base, Chris Bryant. I mean, how can you go against him? I mean, who do they have? Aramis Ramirez right now?
Let's hit 7, 8, and 9 here, too.
Well, their outfield.
We got Marte. McCutcheon.
They got Kyle Schwarber out there, though, who looks like, I mean, he's probably
is he a white Marte?
No, he's nothing like Marte. Marte is very, very athletic. Kyle Schwarber is just a huge bat. He's going to have a better bat than Marte, but Marte will be the better all-around player in the end.
You just got like 10 thumbs down on that. He's going to be better than Marte comment right
The bat, just the bat. I'm telling you, man, Kyle Schwarber, look at this. 9 home runs and 116 at bats. Starling Marte has 13 home runs over the full season, 14 now. What is it? One of those two. But that's over nearly a full season now. Schwarber's been up for, 30-some games, has 116 at bats, 9 jacks. This dude is a beast. He already can take walks. He doesn't strike out too much, a little bit too much right now, but it shouldn't affect him long term. Schwarber's going to be a beast, man. And then Jorge Soler, the Rookie of the Year candidate, coming into the season in right field. Now, he hasn't turned out exactly how they hoped. They want to see more power out of him. He has a little bit more speed. But I'm telling you, their outfield's good too. Although I do like the Pirates' outfield better with McCutcheon in center field. But, I mean, you look at the pitching staff, and
so they're matching up right now, then.
Yeah, the pitching staff looks very good right now. They have some veterans in their offensive lineup, along with those young players. They have an MVP candidate. They have a Rookie of the Year candidate. And then they have a good bullpen, too. I mean, Hector Rondon has 21 saves, a 1.65 ERA. Pedro Strop has a 3.02 ERA. Jason Mott, a 3.77 ERA, has 6 saves as well. And Justin Grimm's been a beast this season. Look at these numbers. A 1.30 ERA, 34.2 innings pitched, 52 Ks compared to 13 walks. This guy's a beast, and he's putting up closer-type numbers, although he's not closing for him. And then Neil Ramirez is another guy that can pitch at the back end of their bullpen who's been on the DL for most of the season. And they have other guys out there, too, obviously. Like Soriano they brought over. He's not working out exactly how they wanted, but he's older. But they got a lot of pieces in their bullpen, too. And this is one of the better pitching staffs in the National League. And
they have a veteran coach, like Jim said, that's been there and done it.
Believe that.
So, I mean, it's his first year.
I'm going to tell you right now, man, there's no saying, like,
are they building pressure?
The Pittsburgh Pirates have a better chance at a World Series over the next couple years because the Cubs are 2 years behind. It's not like that. The Cubs are right there with the next year. The Cubs are going to be right there with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Is there any pressure on them this year?
On
Chicago.
I mean,
not this year
I wouldn't say there's much pressure. They've arrived early.
There's no pressure on them.
I'm sure they're feeling it a little bit right now.
There's no pressure on them.
But the fan base, even if they make the playoffs, obviously the fan base is happy. But even if they just missed it, yeah, they're going to be disappointed and they're going to be, a little angry. But they're going to be happy at the season the Cubs had because nobody expected them to even be this good right away. This was supposed to be the year where they almost made it, and then next year would be the big year. And this year they're contending right now.
And one other reason they're not going to fade is because their good play actually translates to the road as well. In fact, they're one of few teams that have a winning road record in the NL. In fact, there's only 3 And the Chicago Cubs actually have the best road record in the National League at 33-25. The other two teams, the St. Louis Cardinals and the Pittsburgh Pirates. So that doesn't really bode well for Chicago. But you can see Chicago is one of those few teams that can take their success to the road. So that is another reason why you're not going to see them fade here in the end. Now, they have 6 games left on their homestand, and then they have 3 at San Francisco and 3 at the Dodgers. So they have some big games coming up on the road soon. Now they have 6 games left versus St. Louis and 6 games left versus Pittsburgh as well. So there's a lot to be decided in this division still. And like I said, it's been 106 years since they won a World Series. What's the chances you give them this year, man?
5%.
100-1.
100-1? What's Pittsburgh's?
Wasn't it 25?
Oh, I have no clue. I
thought it was 25-1.
25-1, I'll take it. But yeah, the Chicago Cubs, they're going to be around for a while.
30 on it.
Let's not forget they can spend money, too, when they need to add a piece. Although they didn't do too much at the deadline this year.
So my final thought on the Chicago Cubs is, if it ended today, they'd be in the wild card game. If we had if they had to come to PNC Park, we'd win. If we had to go to Wrigley, they'd win.
It is a possibility.
Well, that's all we got for you today, fans. You can follow us on Twitter at bet_the_spread. You can follow me on Twitter at betjimthewin. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/betthespread. Keep coming back to the YouTube channel. Keep subscribing.